Mortal Kombat.
Well, it's happening. It is happening.
Oh, full retard.
Entertainment is not about entertaining anymore.
My mind is hurting.
Then I'm just not going to play their game.
Corporate wokeness.
At some point, it's pointed out, it's basically a recreation of Wakanda.
That's what they chose to do, and they have Wakanda.
It's unbelievable, man.
Cannot escape this politician shit.
Now that's what this is all about.
Is Mortal Kombat 11 woke? Well, according to angry white men on the internet, it is. NetherRealm has taken the SJW serum and been crushed under the pressure of political correctness. Well, that's not actually what's happening. I'm going to discuss 3 major political controversies that Mortal Kombat 11 has brought up upon its release and discuss why I think they are kind of ridiculous. Number 1. Jax's tower ending. Probably the biggest point of contention for anti-woke players is the very on-the-nose messages that come from Jax's tower ending. For those who don't know, there is a game mode that allows you to play through 5 to 10 fights as any of the characters in the roster, and then fight the main villain of the game, Kronika. For each character, you will unlock a small cutscene that will allow you to see what that character would do if they had the opportunity to create a new timeline. For instance, Frost takes over the Lin Kuei, and Johnny Cage stops himself from being a deadbeat and saves his family from dying. Where people are getting upset is with the character Jax. Jax is a black man with robot arms and was once a high-ranking member of the military. However, through the last few games, he has been traumatized and lives alone in a barn, getting drunk all day and worrying about his daughter who is fighting in the military. So now that you sort of get the gist of his character, let's see what his tower ending is and discuss why people are so upset about it.
All I wanted was to fix my life. Now I have the power to fix history. Raiden warns me, I can't fix everything. Change too much and I could lose Vera, lose Jackie. But this power is bigger than us. If I think only about helping myself, what kind of officer am I? What kind of man? I've been lucky. My family and I have lived the American dream. But most people who look like me haven't had that chance. I owe it to them to put things right. And I'm not waiting centuries for people to get woke when I've got the power to speed things up. I don't get it right the first time, or the second, or even the third, but eventually, I knock it out of the damn park. My family's back. The world's a better place for everyone. Turns out, you can have everything. Anyone who says you can't needs to dream bigger.
So that was his tower ending. He goes back in time and stops slavery from ever happening, and ends racism. I know, how dare NetherRealm make the political statement of racism is bad and slavery was awful. I can feel the structures of Western civilization crumbling. Some people online have been twisting around some of the information to make it seem a lot worse though. Many have been claiming that Jax created an ethno-state and that he created a civilization just for black people, and that's just racist. That's not true though. That never happens. He just ends racism and slavery. I can play the video again. He never made an ethno-state. He never recreated a Wakandan-esque society. People have been blowing this cutscene way out of proportion and have been trying really hard to make it look a lot worse than it is. Which is a little odd to me, because the message of racism is bad and slavery was awful is hardly a political stance at all. That seems like a pretty baseline message to have regarding that topic. This isn't something out of character for Jax, but I'll explain a little more about that in a bit. Here's a clip from YouTuber Hypebreak's video, Mortal Kombat 11 Woke Controversy Gets Worse, where he talks about how this is out of character for Jax.
Footage of the game's characters' endings reveal that Jax, the African-American cyborg, has also been drinking the Wokeade. Jax Briggs' tower ending sees the character using power to manipulate time, to force black people out of slavery and lead his people into a glorious Wakanda-esque future. It's a bit woke. Was it really necessary to politicize Mortal Kombat this way? I don't think so. As you can see in the scene, viewers are treated to imagery showing the transatlantic slave trade. It's a far cry from who Jax is as a character. Jax, who's more or less a conservative black man, he's not particularly woke. And Jax, as fans of the series can attest, is a pro-military, conservative character who's now become a conduit for whatever woke intentions his developers who have been using his story to preach to the masses to assuage their pathological white guilt.
So, Hypebreak claims that Jax is a pro-military conservative, which he says after also saying that it's a shame they made the game political. Kind of contradictory, isn't it? So, if you only played Mortal Kombat 9, which is the start of the series' soft reboot, you would agree that Jax is a pro-military, and because he's a soldier in the Special Forces, this could lead you to believe that he's a conservative. Sure, I can understand that. However, if you played Mortal Kombat 10 and Mortal Kombat 11, which continues his character, you would know that he gets kinda fucked over and is traumatized by his experiences in the game. Now, in Mortal Kombat 11, he is a shell of who he was in Mortal Kombat 9. He lives alone in a farm, he has PTSD, he has depression, he spends his time drinking and worrying about his daughter, who was joined the military like he did when he was young. He is actually very anti-military, as many Mortal Kombat fans can attest. This isn't new. He was this way in Mortal Kombat 10. He left the military and was very reluctant to return, only coming back to fight because his daughter was in trouble. Here's a cutscene from Mortal Kombat 10 that shows what I mean.
Is that a national? I haven't seen one this...
You didn't come here to discuss farm implements.
All right. I'll cut to the chase. I need your help.
My help?
I know. I don't have any right to...
You knew what I wanted.
Jackie volunteered. She came to me.
I know.
Listen, I get why you didn't want Jackie joining SF. Why you retired. I mean, if I had to live with memories of being one of Quan Chi's thugs, I would have eaten a gun a long time ago.
Well, you know Vera. She never would have allowed that. So what is it you need help with? The Outworld refugees?
Worse.
Huh. Jax immediately assumed Sonya needed his help assisting Outworld immigrants. That sounds pretty liberal to me, Hypebreak. It isn't out of character for Jax to want to end slavery. He himself was a slave to Quan Chi after the events of MK9, and although it isn't shown in the game, it isn't crazy to think that Jax has experienced some kind of racism before. It is totally in character for him to want to end slavery. Saying that he wouldn't do it because he's a pro-military conservative is pretty weird to me. Is it conservative to be racist? Because that's what Hypebreak is insinuating, that somehow because he is a conservative, he wouldn't end slavery and racism. Kinda shows us a little into what Hypebreak thinks it means to be a conservative. Alright, I think that's enough about the Jax Tower ending. In short, no, it isn't racist for Jax to end slavery. No, he doesn't create a black ethno-state, and no, it is totally in character for him to do this. On to the next controversy. Controversy 2. Desexualization of women. In Mortal Kombat 9, all of the female characters were designed and dressed in a way that made them look like strippers at a really low-class gentleman's club. They wore small, brightly colored, highly reflective bikinis that showed off their oversized boobs and busty figures. Probably the worst case of this was Melina's alternate costume, where she wore small wraps around her body that barely covered up her nipples. The thing about these designs is that they're all really, really bad. It made all of the female fighters kind of look the same, especially Kitana, Jade, and Melina. All of the women had the same body types, and to be quite frank, because the designs were focused around showing how sexy they were, the designs suffered. These designs don't look good. None of them stand out or look cool. When you look at the designs for the male characters, who also were hyper-masculine, they all had fairly unique and cool-looking designs. None of the male characters looked similar. They all had cool and interesting, unique designs. So, when Mortal Kombat 10 rolled around, they toned down the sex appeal for the female characters and gave them more interesting designs that matched their characters. Kitana, who is the Princess of Edenia, looked more regal, and she had a lot more flair to her design. Melina looked more like a rebel warrior, and Sonya looked like an actual military leader this time around. They evolved the designs to match the character rather than to appeal to horn dogs on the internet. This happened in Mortal Kombat 10. However, for some reason people are getting mad about the desexualization now. Here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest, as an artist, these designs are garbage. They're boring and they don't reflect the actual characters. In Mortal Kombat 10 and 11, the designs complement the characters and also look way more badass. On top of that, a lot of female characters in Mortal Kombat 11 are still very attractive. Kitana, Jade, Scarlet, and Cetrion all show off cleavage, and don't even get me started on Devora, who is just straight up naked. So no, I don't think it's fair to complain about the desexualization. They did this back in Mortal Kombat 10, like 4 years ago, and even now, the characters still show off their bodies. The character designs in Mortal Kombat 11 are really cool and unique looking, and I think getting mad because they don't all wear stripper clothes and have massive boobies is a little insulting to most women out there. Controversy 3, Shao Kahn's Trump nod. In one of Shao Kahn's intro dialogues against the Collector, he says, "Let us make Outworld great again."
For 25 years, you've remained loyal.
You are the one true Khan.
Let us make Outworld great again.
This is very obviously a nod to Trump's campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," and I'm not gonna lie, it's not my kind of humor, but yeah, it's kind of funny. This is very obviously a joke to me. It's strange to me that people are getting so butthurt, and dare I say, triggered. It makes sense if you play the game. Shao Kahn is brought into the future where he is dead, and there is a new ruler of Outworld, so he tries to reclaim his throne and return Outworld to its former glory. In the context of the story, yeah, he's trying to make Outworld great again. I don't think it's a burn on the president just because Shao Kahn is a dictator. His story arc in the game does revolve around him trying to make Outworld great again. It's just a funny little joke. Anti-feminists always complain that there should be no limits to comedy and that we should be allowed to joke about anything, but when someone makes a joke about the president being bad, and suddenly it's unacceptable. I really don't have much else to say on this topic, it's just very silly. In conclusion, so there is all my thoughts on the political controversies revolving around Mortal Kombat 11. Honestly, it's all being blown out of proportion by anti-feminists and SJW ranters. I mean, really, what are there, like 2 or 3 political references in the whole game, and suddenly the game has been wokeified and politically corrected? It's honestly just ridiculous. If you want to buy the game, but are scared the political stuff will ruin it, don't worry, just buy it. It is honestly a really fun game, and is by far my new favorite Mortal Kombat. I didn't notice any of the political stuff even until I saw people freaking out about it online, so yeah. The game's fun, and you shouldn't let these crybabies convince you not to get it. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, or just honestly a fighting game fan in general, you're going to love it.